There we go. Ooh, all right. Let the fuzziness come off here a little bit. Hi, everybody. This is Shari and with the Live with Purpose Health and Life Coaching. Let me shut this down for a minute. I am so happy to be here with you today, and I'm super excited because I am bringing my friend Gina Wright on this morning or this afternoon. Oh my gosh, the day has gone, right, Gina?
Yes, it has. We can start it over. It's fine.
No, let's just keep going, right? So
Exactly.
today what I wanted to do, last week I had the event inside the Finding the Calm in the Chaos group here. 5 steps in saying yes to you. And then it led into really the next cohort of Nourish with Purpose is the coaching program that I have. That's an 8-week group coaching program. And I wanted to bring Gina on because Gina, I think, is she's just a woman of so many things that has really always had so many circumstances come up, but she keeps saying yes to herself. She's reminded herself the importance of saying it. So I want to bring Gina on here to really explain. I'm going to ask Gina a couple of questions. We're going to have a conversation. And if you have any questions for Gina, I'm going to try to pull them up in the chat. So if you're wondering, is Nourish with Purpose for me? Listen in with Gina. And if you still have more questions, know that we can always book a call to talk. But Gina, I'm so glad we got to work this out from your car just outside of work. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. Yeah, the day has definitely been great. So I'm very excited to get to do this.
Yeah, I am. You had a little Facebook post last week and you had a big celebration, and for knowing you and what you've been through, it is such a big celebration. I'm going to let you share that towards the end. So I want everybody to hang on here, but I want to really let you kind of introduce yourself and, kind of give us a little bit of a summary of what your health journey has been like.
Well, I'll start by saying that I grew up with a very unhealthy lifestyle, but somehow miraculously stayed pretty skinny until I got married and had children. And then everything pretty much changed and I gained all of the baby weight. And I kept saying, oh, I'm going to get rid of that eventually and I'll get healthy again. But life just took over. And it wasn't until 2018, or I would say 2017, that I determined, because I was having some marital problems and issues going on, that I thought, I'm going to start taking care of myself and I need to make a difference here. And it was amazing because I started just originally, I would say I started with Weight Watchers and needed some accountability, and that was really good for me. But then the next year, I really took it up to, I need to start exercising and really focus on myself, not just only one thing, but really take over my entire health and well-being. And so I started working out at that time, and I have focused on making quite a few life changes and eating healthier. And just, joining in your program was really great for me because the nutrition part was not there. So it's been a big journey, but during that time, I've lost over 60 pounds and have faithfully committed to stay the journey.
So good. 'Cause I would love to just take a few minutes here and let everybody hear that Gina made herself a priority. She decided what was important. She lost 60 pounds. So can we put let's do the celebrate emoji in for Gina underneath in the comments. I'm so excited for what you saw kind of feeling. Can you kind of describe, before we started working together, kind of with the Nourish with Purpose, what was a day like? What were you feeling like? kind of before we started the whole journey with the Nourish with Purpose?
Actually, I just, found it very difficult to find out what food is truly healthy. Just because it says it's healthy doesn't mean it really is. I found myself really tired and not focused on making time to plan out things and to learn more about the true nutrition, the hormones, those kind of things, and how they play a role in all of this. It was more of like, oh, well, this says it's healthy, and so I'll just eat that. But it really wasn't making a difference in my body personally and how I felt. So that was my journey before we met. And I think I can say without a doubt, your program has such a wealth of content and information that you can go back and reread it 2 or 3 times and still get new nuggets from it.
Yeah, and you would take those pieces and put them into action. Where do you think, because I hear so many people say, it's just so different than anything I've done before. What do you think with kind of the mindset piece that we really incorporated with looking at self-care and those boundaries of who you get to decide to have come in your life, those boundaries? I know you have, you're kind of sandwiched between taking care of kids and have aging parents with their medical issues and health issues. And it can be really difficult to say, I need time for me. So what do you feel like, what has been different for you in kind of our whole work together? Is there any kind of nuggets that came out of working together that were like, yes, I can take care of myself? Or what were the ahas that kind of came along the way?
Well, I think for me, my entire life and even my marriage was focused on taking care of everyone else, and to a fault. I completely neglected myself and never focused on myself. And what I realized is that in order to help the people I want to help, I have to start with me first. Because if I feel horrible and I'm not getting enough rest and I'm not having that self-care of actually, just going and doing something nice for myself, then I really have nothing left to give to others. So what I was trying to do, I wasn't even doing the right way. So that's the part for me that was like, well, I need to really do this, and I don't need to feel ashamed about it. I think there's such a stigma of, if you focus on yourself at all, you're selfish. And that is so not true. In fact, if you don't take care of yourself, then I think you are selfish, because you're destroying yourself along the way. For me, I'm not saying other people, but for me, my dad even made a comment back in 2015 when I had to relocate back to Austin. He said, "You're a walking time bomb. You don't even realize it, but you are so neglecting yourself that it's going to end up hurting the people you want to help." And I had not even considered that. And I think for me, it was just always the stigma that I need to help everyone first, and then I can take care of myself and offer myself what's left. And there was nothing left to give. So when I went through your program, it was just really helpful for me to really step back and say, no, I need to focus on myself first, and then put boundaries up, like you said, add, some time for things to change, and allow, that little bit of time in case things do change, but really focus on the whole package, my mindset, my health, my physical, and just being open to making those changes. I think one thing too is the lie that we feed ourselves, that we don't have time for ourselves. We don't have time for that. It's too expensive. Let me tell you, it's expensive if you have to stay on medication like I've had to do instead of taking care of myself. It's actually less expensive to take a little bit of time and exercise and to eat healthy. It is less expensive to go get cucumbers than it is to have to stay on medication or go to the doctor. So those are things I had to learn in the process, that some of the things I've been believing have not been true.
Yeah, yeah. Gina, all of that is so good. And the thing that really kind of stands out for me is that whole investment piece that you talk about is like, what would you rather invest in? And realizing like it's okay, the guilt and the shame that comes with that sometimes of being able to invest. And I know, you've been a single mom for a while now. And, I know we talked about this, like, how am I going to make this work? And I really give you so much credit for seeing the strength within yourself to say, I'm going to do it. And we're going to figure out how. Like you have set up just kind of those goals and you've gone after them with that. So
Yes.
I'm curious how was the community piece? Because some people can be a little intimidated about group coaching and coming into this community and being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk about myself in front of people and what I'm struggling with. That's a really vulnerable spot to be in. And I'm just wondering if you can share just a little bit about your experience and how you felt with the group of women that went through this. We all went through this together.
I think having that community is a beautiful thing, because the first thing you learn is you're not alone. And that for me has always been important, because when you're going through this, it's tough. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, you're going to have to intentionally do these things to make life changes. And so when you have someone cheering you on, and someone encouraging you, someone giving you great ideas, someone saying, yeah, try that. That's awesome. And I can do it. That alone will encourage you to go forward. And without my accountability in your group, it makes it very difficult to do it on your own. And I think that's something that I was living in, was kind of a little seclusion, just living in my own world and not feeling like I could handle it, but also not wanting to ask for help. And I think when you get in a community, you soon learn that it's okay to ask for help. It's also encouraging to get that help. When someone says, yes, I've been there, then you feel like, wow, okay, a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. There's other people that have done this or dealt with this. So for me, it was a great thing. And it's exciting to hear the wins, and it's exciting to see, I mean, even when you guys would talk about the places that you could buy healthy food, I was like, yes, okay, because that just saves me time. It saves me energy in trying to figure out something. Oh, you've tried this? Great. I'm going to give it a whirl. Does that make sense? I mean,
yeah,
it's like just having
absolutely.
people on the team, everybody
Yeah.
pitching in. It's great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think that's what's important is like, we sometimes get in our own ways by thinking we have to have all this information. And sometimes we forget that we can ask for help, like you said. So I really
yeah,
love the app that I use is called Boxer. And I know you and I have been on it
yeah.
multiple times, talking back and forth, cheering each other on. And that's just a nice way, I think, outside of the coaching calls to feel supported by having that check-in on Monday, check-in on Wednesday, and a check-in on Friday. Um, you know, you can add anything you want to it, kind of what your experience was with that. And how did you feel having that kind of extra support in between the coaching calls and the sessions that we had?
I really love that. And I love that it's on Voxer. So there's no pressure to hop on right in the moment if you're working or if you're in the middle of something, but you get to listen and check in when it's available to you. And I loved hearing it go off on my phone, because then I was like, oh, yeah, everybody's on. And it was just nice to be able to say a few words of encouragement to everyone, just to remind my teammates, hey, this is exciting. Y'all are doing awesome. I love to encourage people because I know that it's helpful to me. So, and it was great. Like I said, even pictures of sunsets or just, encouraging words, different recipes. I loved it all. And I love that it was in one place that we could find, and it was easy to use. So They work
Yeah.
great for me.
Yeah, it is so exciting. And I've had other clients say, I love it when it chirps because I'm just like, oh, that's just like
Yeah.
fuel for yourself and fuel for your day. You know, you're going to get some good stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, Gina is one if you're resonating with any of this, please drop it in the chat below because we want you to know you're not alone. And Gina really went through the Nourish with Purpose. I was programmed back in June of 2021. And then that was the one and only group coaching program I had. And then I developed in May this past year in 2022, the 30-day jumpstart. And I remember reaching out to you to say, hey, how are you doing? You know, I often check in with clients and just checking back in to say, how's it going? No pressure to be like, hey, you want to coach again kind of thing. But I'm wondering, like, when that 30-day jumpstart idea came into your feed, what was going on for you? Because I think a lot of times people think we've done this work, we should always have it figured out, and we have no room for like sliding back or like getting off course, right? So when the 30-day jumpstart, I was listening to all of you say, I need a reset.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the one thing I've learned on this journey of doing it for, starting 4 years ago. I have learned that you're going to have seasons when so much is happening that it's hard to focus on things. Yes, you're doing it, but are you really thriving in it? And for me, it was in a moment of, I was trying to move. I was trying to do some stuff, like you said, mentioned with my family, that it's really important stuff where I was having to spend a lot of time with my parents. And that really affected, where I'm meeting, what time I'm meeting, those kind of things. And I just really needed that support again to say, hey, let's go back through this and let's focus on what's important. Let's focus on some ideas to plan it out. And I just needed to get that back in my mindset. And when you're so busy and things are changing, it's awesome to have a reset. And this is a journey. It is not a race. It is not you get to the finish line, that's it. This is a lifelong process. And so it's going to ebb and flow. And I think it's important to have the support system continually in your life. Otherwise, you're going to get stumped and say, well, it's easier to give up. Well, that's not an option for me. It really is not. So when I run out of steam, I'm going to go to my teammates and say, hey, I need a kick in the pants, or I need some encouragement. And that's what I'm looking for. So that's what the reset was for me.
Yeah, I think it's so, I wanted to be sure people heard that, especially women. We give ourselves such a hard time that we do one thing, we think we're done with it. So I love what you're saying is just, it is lifelong lifestyle changes and lifestyle commitments with it. And knowing your why in the end, your why has been so big and it just grows every time. So I want you to share kind of what you're celebrating now, because your life has completely changed over the last year and a half, 2 years, really. Within, and so I want you to have the opportunity to share like what's been going on. 1,000 workouts, you've hit that one. Different goals.
Yes.
You've got a new relationship in your life, your kids, different environment. Let us know.
Yes. It's been a whirlwind. I think that's the greatest thing about the moment I decided to do a transformation, really, of my mindset, that it's about everyone else, and really changing that to now's the time. I think for me, I'd always said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to one day make it happen. And I feel like for me, that is the greatest thing that's happened, is I'm actually following through with my own words. And I set the goals before me, like you said, and I was determined that it was going to become a lifestyle, not a phase. So many times I would pick up I'm going to do this for a little bit, and then I would burn out and say, nah. But yes, you're right. This last week, I did reach the goal of working out for 1,000 workouts. And that was a big deal for me because when I started working out in 2018, I hadn't worked out in over 20 years. So that was a big step for me. And I remember that I picked up my 2-pound dumbbells and thought I was going to die. Thought those were heavy. And since then have worked up to using 20-pound dumbbells. So it's been a journey and it's very exciting. And I put new goals in front, like you said, and I keep moving through workouts and really push myself harder and do even more intense ones, things I never thought I could do. I keep pushing myself to do and to try. And that has been the biggest thing for me because now, like we talked about with nutrition, now I'm not afraid to eat certain vegetables. I'm not afraid to try new foods. I am not afraid of anything because I know I can do it if I just stay consistent, if I stay in the team of those who are going to encourage me. Because not everybody's on board with eating healthy and working out. I can tell you there's quite a few that would say no to it. But when you have that sisterhood, when you have that team, it makes all the difference in the world. And you really can set your goals and go for it. I mean, you don't have to just survive. And I feel like that's what I did for almost 30 years in my marriage. And when I made the decision that that is no longer going to be my life, now I stay faithful to do whatever it takes to keep growing in my knowledge, growing in my strength and ability. I want to one day run a 5K and then I want to maybe do a triathlon. I mean, there's a lot that I am putting forth in the future that I'm going to try and not be afraid to do it. So yes, and I do have a great boyfriend that's also encouraging me and he cheers me on. My family is very excited that I'm healthy now, and that takes a burden off of them to not worry about me anymore. So
yeah,
and it's fun because even my kids will challenge me to, we'll have challenges. We did a plank challenge the other day and it was quite comical. I actually lasted longer than all of them. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Listen to that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You go, Gina, go. Oh, it's so
right.
good. It's good. And I love what you say is just like it ripples into other areas of your life. When you start taking care of yourself, you start deciding that you were a priority. That's when things change and you set yourself up for success rather than setting yourself up to continuously try and fail at anything. It's just like looking at things a little bit different with your mindset too. So I'm so celebrating you. I celebrate you every day because it's just from where you came. And if you don't know Gina's story, she shared with me a podcast episode. And if you're comfortable with it, Gina, I want you to drop it in the chat below because
I will.
I've known you for 30 years. Is that right? Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't know some of the things that you've been through. And you are just such an amazing woman, so resilient. And you were at the brink of death at one point in time. So you stand strong in your faith and know that God is your creator and he worked everything out exactly many times in your life the way it was supposed to be. That is the one thing that I love about you the most is that you just stand in your faith and your conviction. So just keep being the beautiful woman you are. Thank you for sharing some time. Before we go, is there anything you want to share with everybody here who's maybe thinking, do I invest in myself? Do I take it? Whether it's you invest in Nourish with Purpose or you're thinking about doing some other program or starting just that first step. I love what you said, the 2-pound dumbbell. We all have to start with 1 rep, right? Well, if there's anything you want to share.
I think the one thing I would share the most is that no matter how big it looks and how overwhelming it seems, if you just take the first step and then you just stay consistent, and yes, there's going to be days I have cried many times and I have overwhelmed myself thinking I cannot do this. But I can tell you, if you just get up and do it again the next day, even if you don't eat healthy one day, but the next day you say, you know what, the next meal, I'm going to eat healthy. If you're
Mm,
just willing to commit to it, you can do anything. And
mhm,
I would just say, just stay at it and get that accountability from those who want to push you and want to encourage you. That's important, because if you don't
mhm,
have that, then you will likely just, step aside and say, well, that was fun, but no. This is the longest I have ever invested in myself. And I will say this, it is the greatest thing I've ever done.
mhm.
And it not only affects me, but it affects other people. I feel better than I've ever felt. I am definitely healthier than I've ever been. I mean, all my lab work is pristine. I just had some, just went and did my colonoscopy. The doctor was extremely impressed. He said, you know what, you're taking care of yourself. I'm being proactive in all of my health. And part of that is because I have family members that have health issues that are serious. And I've just determined that I'm not going to
Mm,
put that, if possible, I don't want anyone to have to deal with that. So I'm going
mhm,
to do my part to take care of my body and be a good steward of it as long as I can, because there were many years I didn't.
mm,
So for me, I love that I feel great, but it also affects other people. I mean, that's the compliment I get all the time is, Gina, you look so happy. And I'm
mm.
like, I am, because I feel great. For one time in my life, I feel great. And I
Yeah,
feel stronger than I've ever felt. There's something to be said now that I'm just like, I can do this. And
yeah.
that's an exciting thing. So I would just
Mm,
say, stay at it, be willing to try it. I know Shari will, walk you through it. She's got great wisdom on every nutrition factor. So,
mm.
and I love it. I'm still learning every time I listen to something. I'm like, yes. So there,
Oh,
it's true.
oh. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for your time. I know you are super, super busy coming from your day. And I know everybody, if you want to chime in the chat below, what was most important that you needed to hear today from Gina and in this conversation? Because we all pick up things along the way. I'm still learning, you're still learning, Gina's still learning. We
Yeah.
all get to learn and we get to embrace that. And as I always say, calming our chaos starts with us, and it starts with getting
Yeah.
connected to who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to live in your life. So thank you, Gina.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great fun. Have a great time.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.